Welcome to day 2. We are talking about hormonal shifts, specifically the shifts around our sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone that occur as early as our early 30s. Now, the first to go seems to be progesterone that starts to go downhill. That is our calming hormone. It helps with sleep and anxiety and balancing estrogen. So once progesterone goes down, that's when estrogen starts swinging wildly, and it can look differently from one day to the next. And then testosterone seems to go downhill around that time. That's our vitality hormone. That's also responsible for energy production, balancing autoimmunity, lean muscle, all kinds of things. Now, these fluctuations, along with those, come things like the classic perimenopause symptoms, mood swings. You might start to feel more anxious. Everyone just irritates you for no reason. You know the feeling: fatigue, brain fog, bloating, gut issues might change. You might develop more inflammation, and that could show up in your joints. It could show up in your brain as brain fog. It can show up on your thyroid gland. It could show up as blood sugar. It could show up as water retention and blood pressure, and even like new food sensitivities and autoimmune disease, because estrogen plays a big role balancing autoimmunity. So once you have this growing list going on that makes you just not quite feel like yourself, these hormones are also responsible for our stress response, our resilience to be able to handle everyday stressors, metabolism, mood, energy, sleep, hunger, and satiety hormones. It seems like a crazy list, and I do notice that a lot of women are willing to put up with all kinds of things until they start gaining weight. What to do about it? So we want to support balanced hormones and rising inflammation and cortisol levels with a whole foods diet. We're going to be less tolerant to processed foods, to the additives in them, to the chemicals in them. They're going to affect us much more: body, brain, gut hormones. Primarily whole foods, primarily veggies, herbs, spices, nuts and seeds, every color of the rainbow. Lots of fiber, lots of proteins. I'm thinking, 20 to 40 grams of protein per meal and about 35 grams of fiber each day. When you start to add it up and really pay attention, it is hard to hit. You have to be very mindful. But these are the things: healthy fats, fiber, protein, in addition to anything we can do to support our adrenals and our stress response is going to directly affect our hormone levels too. So adaptogenic herbs. I'm a huge fan of minerals and electrolytes. Adaptogenic herbs are things like ashwagandha or reishi mushrooms, different medicinal mushrooms, holy basil or tulsi tea, licorice root, rhodiola. Some people find that to be just mildly stimulating, but just the right amount of stimulating. You'll have to play around with what works for you, but especially in the afternoon. And then, of course, stress management in general. What are we doing to incorporate deep belly breathing, to incorporate small moments of non-sleep restorative activities and sleep? We're going to talk about that in a whole other episode. But if you haven't gotten proper sleep, and that can be tough as progesterone goes down, stress response, stress resilience, and blood sugar are all going to be deeply affected the next day. And then pulling out endocrine disrupting hormones is a big thing. BPA is the one that I see come up most frequently, even in women who are very conscious of not using a ton of plastic, not drinking out of plastic water bottles. It's something that we have to be very cautious of. It's in our cutting boards, it's in our supplements, it's in our food and in our water and kind of everywhere. It's in our receipt paper and farmed salmon. So what we're going to do this week is really focus on color, variety, trying to hit at least 30 different herbs, spices, nuts, seeds, fruits, and veggies, and just kind of sticking to the outer aisles of the grocery store, trying to hit a unprocessed whole foods rainbow diet.